Hello there! I'm glad that you guys decided to check in with the At Home with Melissa channel today. Look at all the blue sky. Isn't that great? It's early spring, and so here we are in western Pennsylvania enjoying one of the first hot and sunny days of the season. It's great. And I have a treat for you today. Little winded, high pollen day, but in order to kind of honor a request by our friend Doc, hi Doc, we're going to show you today how to fell a tree. And I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to show you how I do it. It's something I've been doing since I was a kid. I'm using different tools now than what I used to use. I used to use all hand tools, and today we're going to go with a small pruning saw, chainsaw. And the reason I'm going with it, it's electric and it's a small tree. It's right there. You can't see it yet, but you will. And the tree's relatively small, so I think that we can get her done with the little pruning saw. And I do have a lot of pruning type work to do, so you know, once we do that, I can just go about what I was doing and do these other things, and I won't bore you with that. But we need to go over a few things first. The most important one being what safety equipment I really feel you need to have to do this, because even if you're felling a small tree, like 7-8 feet tall, you might want to think, oh, it's a little tiny tree, it can't hurt me. It can. It can. You know, even a tiny tree like that, you'd be amazed at how much that wood weighs, and it can injure you or worse. So you still have to be careful. Felling trees is never a totally safe thing to do. So the first thing you want is your hard hat. And this contains your skull, gives a little bit of protection so that it can help protect the brain that's inside it. And we think that regardless how much or how little you use your head, I don't use mine a whole lot, but you know, still want to protect what you got. And another indispensable piece of safety equipment is the safety glasses. And that's not just for cutting down trees. Anytime you do any kind of project at home or whatever, you really should wear safety glasses. The eyes are easily injured, they're quickly injured, and just a teeny itty bitty piece of something can do them in. And you don't want to be blind for life when you could just take 2 seconds to put on a pair of glasses and solve that problem. Okay, that is what we're going over for our safety quiz. You will be tested later. Oh yeah. Just kidding. But next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to use what's called a come-along. At least I think that's what people call them. It's a safety rope, and you tie them to trees above, and the higher above the possible, the better. Tie it above where you're going to cut, and either people can, the one end of the rope can be attached to the main trunk of the tree, and the other one can either be attached to something else, a stationary immovable object, or can be held by a couple of your friends. And what it does is it tells the tree to come along in that direction. And since the tree we're going to be cutting is so tiny, I'm only going to use one, and I'm going to tie it to the tree and then tie it to a tree trunk in the opposite direction from where we want it to fall. It's like you imagine that something is pulling that rope and pulling the tree in that direction. So that's why it's called a come along, and it will make sure that the tree falls the way you want and can't fall back. Okay? When I'm cutting down a larger tree, I try to attach a lot of these. For example, I'll have one rope that's attached to something over there to make sure that it holds the tree from accidentally going this way. And I'll have another one go in that direction to make sure it doesn't accidentally fall this way, and I'll have another one going toward you if I want it to fall toward you so that it can't come backwards. And that just is an added level of security that your tree's going to go where you want it to go. You make your cuts right, and unless it gets caught by wind or other trees or whatever, it's probably going to fall right where you want it to anyway. But you know, anytime you can do something to increase the odds of success and safety, it's a good idea to do so. All right, so I am going to attach the come along. And the way I do that is on the one end of the rope, I have a loop that I've made and tied off. Okay? Then I take that up around the trunk, having a branch under it so it stays up at the height that I want it to. And I drop it down the other side of that limb, and I get it back down toward me. If it's a tall tree and you can't reach it, I often will use a forked stick to reach up there and grab it and pull it, and also to put it up there in the first place. And it can be fiddly and annoying, but it gets the job done. And so you pull that loop back down to you where you're holding the other end of the rope that doesn't have a tie in it, and you just thread it through and pull it out the other end. And then when you pull on the straight edge of the rope, that loop will just slide up. It'll tighten it around the trunk of the tree, and then you can tie it off on your other end. And I'm going to do that now and then get back to you for the next part. So you guys just hang tight and we'll be right back. Okay, now we have the rope attached. And yes, it's a horrible mess. You can't see where it goes, but it's tied to something that's not going to move over there. Our next step is to go to the base of the tree, and right where we want to cut, we're going to put a wedge. We're going to cut out a V-shaped form, and it will look like, basically, like an open mouth, okay? And imagine it's kind of like the old Pac-Man games, where you have an open mouth and it's eating along a line of dots or candies. That open mouth is facing the direction of the line, and that line is the line onto which the tree is going to fall when you're done cutting. Now the V should go about a third of the way into the trunk. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to come back to you to tell you the next part. Hang tight. Hi again. All right. So you can see that we've cut the wedge, and it's about a third of the way into the trunk. Our next cut, and I hope you can see this, is going to be right about between an inch or two above the V from our wedge. And we're going to cut just horizontally to that point, more or less. And in fact, that is probably the ugliest little wedge I ever cut out of a tree, but I only have one small tree to cut to show you, so it's what we're going with. And that's all the info I need for that. It's going to fall in that direction. See how it's an open mouth chomping on things in front of it? So it will fall straight to that side. And yes, I know this is not the chainsaw I should be using for this. It's really tiny. And this is probably going to take like a few minutes, so I'm going to pause it. All right, I'll be back. Timber! And there you have it. One tree down. So, anyway. Hello? So that's what we do in Western Pennsylvania on an early spring morning. Enjoy, and I hope you tune back in again for some more stuff, okay? Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.